I just think he's a better fit than what they have today. I'm saying I like all the other options, like the Henriques of the world, but if that's an option, I'd rather do that than do nothing. How's that?
Back again, talking centers at the trade deadline for the Colorado Avalanche. The next one on the list, Alex Wennberg, coming from Seattle. Let's be real, the production is not at the same level of someone like an Adam Henrique for Wennberg. However, if you're reaching, there are some seasons in his history where he has been able to produce. He is another true rental, a little bit cheaper cap-wise than someone like an Adam Henrique. Let's start as broad as we can. Does Wennberg even make sense for the Colorado Avalanche?
You guys want first?
Not a great start.
No,
A little bit.
You can talk yourself into it? Is that where we're at?
Like, he works on both special teams. The speed might on paper be better than a Henrique, but it's still in the fine, decent category. And beyond that, though, I start to lose a little bit of interest. And it's not for nefarious reasons. I just think that the production has waned and even the shot volume. And so it's not even just, to me, that is something that needs to be a mainstay among the top six, is the effort to just take shots. And I think that reflects the dip in production too. And that's just something that would feel a little bit lateral for what they have right now. Like, I don't need him to be Nazem Kadri in the 2022 Cup year, but they do need more production in their top six, and I'm just not sure he would answer that.
What I'll answer is maybe I'm in love with the player more from his early days in Columbus. Like, I like him. I like, and he's a smart player.
You have to hope that's the guy you're getting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Colorado.
Again, in Calgary, we looked at him for years. I'm just being honest. He signed that big deal. He was supposed to be the guy. He is not the guy. He is a secondary guy. Even back then, he is not the guy. Do I think it's an upgrade in what they have, and if they could shuffle the deck a little bit? I would say yes, that's an upgrade. And I don't need to rehash what I mean by that, but yeah, if the price is right, it's an upgrade on what the roster is today, Avalanche-wise, then I would do it. Because they do need desperate help there. But he's a fit guy, and when he is the right fit, he tends to perform more than what the numbers are showing.
Why do you like him?
I just like because he's a smart player, and he can make the big play. I've seen him make big plays. We did a deep dive back then on him, and the timely plays and big plays at the time of the game. Doesn't get rattled. Sometimes you can go sleepy a little bit too, because then you're like, oh, where is he? Where's he been? I just think he's a better fit than what they have today. I'm saying I like all the other options, like the Henriques of the world, but if that's an option, I'd rather do that than do nothing. How's that?
Here's my concern, and I agree.
You sell me on that point, at least.
I do think he's a better fit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm in love with him.
I'm with you on the he's a better fit. Here's my concern. Ryan Johansson, through 59 games, 13 goals, 9 assists, 22 points. Alex Wennberg, through 57 games, 8 goals, 14 assists, 22 points. That is literally zero production more than what you're getting out of Ryan Johansson.
Yep.
So one thing that you can definitely say, if you're trying to talk yourself into Alex Wennberg, he has always been a product of his environment. When Seattle is shooting well and things are going really well offensively for them last year, he's good. When things are a little bit tougher for them this year, and it's more of a struggle with the guys around him, he's a pass-first player. And that makes it so that you are a product of your environment. Is he going to be better off next to Jonathan Drouin, Val Nichushkin, Arturi Lehkonen as a pass-first guy? I would say that's a healthy environment to put him in for him to play well.
I think he's better off in general.
But is he going to produce, given the style of player that he is and the talent that's around him? Or would he be better off maybe next to Mikko Rantanen and they split the big two guys up?
Yeah.
And that's where you're trying to use him. Now, in order to make Alex Wennberg work, you have broken up two guys who have been playing together for a lot of minutes at a really, really high rate of results for a number of years now. Granted, when the Avs won the Stanley Cup, Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen were not playing together. So, a thing to keep in mind. And I think that's what makes me nervous about Wennberg. A player that is a product of his environment like that. He would be coming to a good environment. Great. You could sell me on he's going to be better than Ryan Johansson. I'm not concerned about that.
It's a low bar.
The problem is Eric used the word sleepy. Well, you know who also is pretty sleepy?
Ryan
Johansson. And another issue that I've always had with Alex Wennberg, he's soft.
Oh, he is soft.
He's not a physical player. How's he going to 2 months of postseason hockey? Stanley Cup final, you're telling me that guy is still going to have the will to go in the corner against whatever monster is awaiting him on the other end that has gone through 3 playoff rounds? I don't buy it. And I understand that calling a player soft is the greatest indictment of a hockey player in general. But I just don't think he has it. I think he's a good, smart, skilled player. I think he's a good regular season player. I don't want him on my playoff roster.
That's fair.
It would make more sense to me to go out and look at someone like Wennberg if the money made more sense, if the contract made more sense. But
the upside might be that his cost in trade just may not be very much, man.
The actual asset value,
Yeah.
sure.
If Seattle will move on from him for Colorado's 2026 second round pick, and you were talking about giving up this year's first for Henrique and getting rid of Johansson, and they will take on Johansson's contract, and you get Wennberg in its first second round pick. Which one of those deals is better for you?
Sure. If you then go out and add X other piece, Y other piece, whatever it might be. It's still a tough ask for me to jump through a lot of hoops, such as potentially retaining money on Wennberg's contract, looking at that, still needing to move Ryjo, when you could go out and make your team better with another potential option, even if it does cost a little bit more asset-wise. The one thing I will say with Wennberg, are you looking at something a bit more steady if you put Wennberg in between a Nichushkin and a Lehkonen? Sure, maybe he's not going to pop offensively with those guys, but does that create a line that is going to give up virtually nothing defensively?
It should create a good line.
But not great.
But when we're talking about the need for secondary scoring, if we're just assuming that you roll out with Miles Wood, Ross Colton, and Logan O'Connor as your third line, that's kind of your eraser.
Have that line. Okay.
That's the line that you're paying money to. You're not going to play in your defensive end because you guys don't do that. You guys are just, we're going to drive a bunch of play towards the other end and create a bunch of nonsense because it's just a nonsensical line that works wonderfully. So, do you want 2 of those? Yeah, you absolutely want lines. You would love to stack up your offensive lines and go, okay, the other team's not scoring against that line. That sounds great. But you also need to score. And is Alex Wennberg a conduit for good offense?
For the most part, historically, not really.
For me, it just doesn't go through him the way that I want it to for a center. He doesn't drive play. He doesn't create. He's not a conduit.
Let me ask the couch this. Is there a world where you trust a Val Nichushkin to be able to drive that line, where you do put a Mikko Rantanen on that line, where you trust him to be the guy driving the offensive play with the Wennberg? Or is that too much shakeup? Is that too much to ask when you're going out and actively acquiring a guy?
It's different positionally, but I think back to the way in which Tomas Tatar didn't work out here. And he was tried in several different places in the lineup, and it just didn't work.
Yep.
And similarly, even Arturi Lehkonen can be a poor defensive player if he's not on the right line, like if it's particularly wrong for him. And so I just don't know that even the most skilled players in the world, I really believe in Val Nichushkin, I just don't know that he can be the play driver on that line. I think that they would need more support. And I don't want to paint Wennberg as a black hole necessarily, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with betting on that.
No, but if I'm getting Wennberg, I'm getting him not, and I understand what you're saying, the Mikko and splitting up. I'm getting him is to play with Val and Lehkonen. If I'm doing it, that's what I'm doing. And it's more like a last resort. And at my point, and I know you liked when I said it, I like that better than not doing anything. Mm-hmm. And I think that gives me more comfort, that line, the way it would be, than what it is today.
I also think dealing with Ron Francis in particular is challenging because he doesn't like to make a lot of futures deals. So he wants to pluck a guy off your NHL roster. He wants to get an established prospect that might be close to the NHL. Yeah. The Avs aren't rich in those areas, so it might be a tough fit if he doesn't want to just do it for a draft pick.
I think the conclusion that we're coming to here is if the Avs are trying to make themselves better offensively in their top 9, the bar isn't you have to be better than Ryan Johansson. The bar is you need to be able to produce offensively in the Colorado Avalanche lineup.
Yeah, it's not you have to be. Is Alex Wennberg better than Ryan Johansson? Is Alex Wennberg better than Sean Monahan in Winnipeg?
Sure.
Or name any of the centers that are rotating through and finding a great deal of success in Dallas right now.
Yep.
Because those are the matchups in rounds 1 and 2 that you're most likely to face. So being better than Ryjo, that's not the competition. The competition is the guy across from them. And that's where, for me, Alex Wennberg is going to fall short. There's like 6 areas that I've named where he falls short for me here.
So you're a fan.
You know what's funny is I don't dislike the player. I just don't think he's right for what the Avs need.
That's fair enough.
If Ross Colton didn't exist and you're looking for a 3C, I think it's a much more interesting
Very different conversation for me, yes.
But that's not where the Avs are at. So
Yep.
maybe this video was more of a talking you out of this trade target.
Some of them are.
That's the reality, yeah. We do have plenty more centers to talk about in these videos. Also, a couple of goalies. I know people are interested in that conversation. So we'll get into those a little bit down the playlist. Go check those videos out. We'll be back with another one tomorrow.